welcome to Springfield Scene. I'm your host, Julie Harmon. Latin America here in the Ozarks. Hard to believe, but it is true. We have a growing population of Latin American natives now living in the Ozarks. So many, in fact, that they have formed a group. In fact, it's 10 years old, and the numbers just keep growing. So we decided to ask a few of them to visit us on the show today, tell us a little bit about their experience living here in the Ozarks and a little bit about their native countries as well. I'd like to welcome my guests today, starting off the show with Tony and Evette Albuquierque, a married couple. You're from the Dominican Republic, and your wife, Evette, from Puerto Rico. Both of you located now here in the Springfield area. And Susana Barbarek, who is actually the president of Grupo Latino Americano, the name of the group that you have formed, sort of a place where you can all meet, get together, and share your culture, so you don't forget those things. Did you find that when you came to the Ozarks there was a little bit of a lack in places to meet and talk with people who are from Latin America?
Well, when I came here, I lived for about 5 years before I even met anybody else who would speak Spanish. And then my mother came, and I wanted to find friends for her, and I started calling people to see how many I could find that were from any different country. And at that time we started the Grupo Latino Americano with about 20 families.
And now how large has the group grown to be in those 10 years?
Well, in those 10 years we have met many new people from 20 countries, and we have 55 families in our list.
So it's growing all the time. What does a group like this provide? Evette and Tony, when you moved to Springfield, you probably didn't know many people here, let alone people from Latin America. What did it provide for you?
Well, we basically moved here for work reasons. We came from Puerto Rico, and when we first got here, my wife was scheduled to be working on the U.S. Med Center about 2 years ago, and it was a surprise for us because we didn't expect to find any Latin Americans living here in the Ozarks. So it was a surprise when we first met Susana and the group, and knowing that there was about 200 families living here from Latin America. So it was a kind of surprise for us, a very pleasant one too.
What does it provide for members? What kind of form do they take? Do you sit around, are you able to speak your native language with other people, talk about what things are going on there, kind of catch up on news from the different countries?
Well, we have different activities. We provide opportunities for everybody to meet at a monthly social hour, and we have coffee and refreshments and introduce everybody who is just new coming into the area. When we are able, we help other people with referrals, if possible, with jobs, or at least meet other people from their own country. Any other thing that they need that we can provide, we're very happy to help and assist. Sometimes they don't feel very comfortable, they don't know enough English, they need a translator, they need a place to live, or just people
kind
to
of
talk
knowing your
to.
way around the city too, even
to
just finding your way around Springfield.
Where to go for different things that they need when they are just relocating in the area. We try to help them as much as we can, and of course we offer friendship and reassurance for all these families.
Okay. A quick break. When we come back, a little bit about each of your respective countries, some of maybe the highlights of things that you miss the most now that you live here in the States. Stay with us. We'll return in just a moment. Welcome back to the show. Again, I'd like to welcome my guests, all natives of Latin America from different countries and members of a group that's formed here in the Ozarks, Grupo Latino Americano. I'd like to thank you again for coming and today sharing a little bit about your countries. Let's start with you, Susana. You've been in the area for quite some time. How many years now in the Ozarks?
I came to the Ozarks in 1971 because I married and my husband wanted to live in this area. I found it very good place to live and to raise a family. So this is our home.
But not many people there who probably you can even speak Spanish with and carry on a conversation with in Spanish, are there?
I didn't find them when I first came, but now, like we said, we have 250 families in the group from many countries, from the Caribbean to Argentina, including Mexico, Spain, even Brazil.
You can probably relate then with say, a couple like Tony and Evette who come from and don't know anyone in the area. You feel somewhat lonely and isolated for quite a while, don't you? And
yes, and of course, having been in that position, I can understand very well how they felt, some of the people.
What do you miss the most about Colombia? Colombia is a country that we hear a lot about in the news, although it's not always favorable. You probably, though, have a real different perception of the country, don't you?
It is true. It's very sad that the only news we hear from Colombia are the bad ones, because Colombia is a beautiful country and has many wonderful natural resources. It's very tropical. The best coffee in the world comes from Colombia. Bananas, we eat them here all the time, and many other emeralds and many gold. There are many natural resources and many good people too.
Do you get back to Colombia very often? Are you able to visit very often, or?
At first I used to go every so often, but not anymore. I haven't been there for maybe 9 years now.
What do you miss the most about the country? Being here and having our cold winters all the time, probably the sunshine a lot of it.
The sunshine, the scenery, the mountains, the rivers. I don't miss it because this is a beautiful area too, but it's something I remember from my childhood.
Yvette and Tony, you are from different countries but are married. How did you two get together? What's your story?
Well, we actually met in Dominican Republic. We were medical students, and Tony was my classmate, and that's actually where I first met him.
What led you to Springfield? What attracted you to come to this area?
Employment, actually, seeking employment.
So you're working now with the medical center.
Yes, I am.
Is there a lot of opportunity in this area, do you feel?
Somewhat, depending in which field you are. Business or business administration may be a much easier field to get into versus the medical field.
Now that you've been here how long? 2 years?
2 years.
You say your first experience here was for the ice storm back in, I guess, around Christmas. That was probably a rude awakening.
Yes, it was.
Felt like, did you think, Bill, this is the Ozarks, huh? This is our climate. You come from sunny Dominican Republic, and now you're stuck with the ice storm, huh?
Yes, and we were, just the day before we came here, we were at the beach, and plenty of sunshine and everything, with partying with our friends, and all of a sudden the next day we arrived here in Springfield, and it was quite a big difference.
I bet. Now, 2 years later, have you felt now more that maybe this is a place you can stay and settle, and you like it more now?
Oh, yes.
Definitely.
Definitely. What are some of the barriers that you have to face when you come from a different country, and your English is very good, but it still probably takes time to readjust. What are some of the biggest barriers that you face?
Well, I guess culturally, mainly. Because we know about this country, we know about the USA, we know about the customs and everything, but everywhere we go as Latins, we usually carry our culture within ourselves. And when we first arrived here, the food is different, the way people go to places is different, so it takes time to adapt to all those changes. And for us, was not such of a problem, because we were living in Puerto Rico, which is quite similar to some areas of the States, like New York. It's very related to New York, Miami, the big cities area. But in Springfield, it's certainly different. It's a totally different atmosphere than the one that you find down there. Although we like one thing, it's very quiet, it's very calm. You don't have the rush of the big cities, and the people are nice and friendly. We find it very attractive.
What do you miss about the Dominican Republic where you grew up? What are some of the highlights of that country that you kind of long for?
Well, to tell you the truth, I miss the spontaneity of the persons there.
More,
They are
freer, kind of do what they feel?
Yes,
more
they
than
kind of more like, it's hard for me to explain it, but it's like the people there are more outgoing. See, it doesn't matter what kind of a problem they might have, but they just don't give too much of a thought of it. They just go out and they have fun. They are always friendly. You will be finding them always with a smile on their faces everywhere you go. And I miss that.
In America, we're a little more serious, I guess, and just want to work all the time.
You see people in the street, and you don't see so many happy faces like you see over there. They are more festive, if I could say.
Culturally, is it sometimes hard, Susana, maybe since you've been here 20 years, when they talked about the cultural differences, are there vast cultural differences between the way you live in Latin America and the way we live in America?
Yeah, I believe that people are probably not as dedicated or as worried about the business and tomorrow and the salary. They enjoy life much more than here, I believe. They're always visiting each other, having a good time. Of course, they take care of business, but it's not so like the main thing.
Are members of the group, is it strictly for people who are of Latin American descent, or could it be for someone who possibly loves the country, has maybe lived there, but is actually American? I mean, is it for people who just want to learn more about the country?
Oh yeah, the group is open to people from all the countries in Latin America, and also Americans who are interested in our culture, our language, our heritage, and people from any other country. We also have Brazil and Portugal. At this time we have 2 people from Austria who lived in Bolivia several years, and they are very interested in continuing with their Spanish practice, and they are very welcome.
Okay. A quick break. When we come back, we'll have a few other guests from different countries to learn more about those. All members of Grupo Latino Americano. So stay with us.
Thank you.
We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to the show. I'd like to welcome 3 new guests, also all members of Grupo Latino Americano here in Springfield, all residents of the Springfield area. Immediately to my right, Celia Rousselot, you're from Spain. Yes. In the middle, we have Yolanda Lorge, and you're from Mexico, very close country to us. And then Eduardo Juncos, and you're from Argentina.
Yes, Juncos.
Juncos, okay. I'd like to welcome all of you. First of all, let's start off with you, Celia. When did you come to the Ozarks? What brought you here?
Oh, I came 3 years ago because my husband was transferred. He works for Litton.
Okay, Litton
Company.
Litton
Company. He was transferred here 3 years ago.
And so that brought you here. When you moved here first, did you find that there weren't that many,
Yes.
you don't notice a large population of people from Latin America just out on the street? Did you feel like you might be isolated here a little bit?
That's what I thought. But then after 2 years of being here, we met Eduardo through Susana Barbarek. And we're really glad that we met this group of people, because before we were so isolated from the rest of the people in this city, and now we feel like we finally find our home here.
How has it helped you, just in the fact that you can meet with people and speak Spanish? You probably have a hard time even finding people that you can just sit down and make have a conversation in Spanish with.
Yeah. We feel like we have the same customs, the same food. We kind of eat the same kind of things, you know. All these things make us feel better.
What about you, Yolanda? What brought you to the Ozarks?
Well, we used to live in Kansas City, and my husband was transferred to Springfield. But what brought me to the U.S. is that I met my husband in Mexico. He used to be he was a missionary for the Mormon Church, and I was a member of the church. And we met, and a year later, we got married. But I had to come to the States to live.
So you lived in Kansas City and then now down to Springfield. How long did you live in Kansas City?
2 years. Actually, since we've been married for 17 years, and we have lived in 30-some different places because he moves around with his employment. But now we are settled here. We just bought a home, and we're staying here.
In moving the Ozarks, did you feel a lot like Celia? You were sort of brought there by a transfer with your husband, and sort of felt like, now here I am. I have no one, that I can really identify with as far as my Latin American heritage.
Yeah, in a way, it was like that. But then again, the people here are so friendly. Tony was talking about that difference in culture. Like he felt how the people in his country were a lot friendlier, at least the outlook. But I feel differently because I come from Mexico City, which is so big, and it's so noisy and so rush. So many people there. When I first married, we moved to Neotiche, Kansas, tiny town. The first thing that I noticed, the friendliness of the people. They will say hi to me with a hi, hello, how are you? You don't see that in Mexico City. You might see that in other small towns in Mexico, but not in Mexico City. So that's what the first thing I have noticed you from the people that smile a lot, even when they don't know you.
And Eduardo, what brought you? You've been here for now almost 20 years.
That's
in
right.
the Springfield area.
Well, I came in 1970. At that time, my brother, who is a physician, was working in this area, and I simply came to visit him. And one of the experiences that I have, perhaps the same as Yolanda, is that I found the people to be very friendly. Just walking on the street, I saw, some smiles that perhaps coming from Cordoba, Argentina, that's 1 million people, perhaps you don't see us as often. But I found a very, very nice atmosphere.
When you first came 20 years ago, was there anything even closely resembling the group that you have now in this area for you to identify with and meet with?
Not at all. It was very difficult times at that time because the population, the Spanish-speaking population, was very low, and certainly I didn't know that many people. Springfield itself wasn't the same as it is now. It has grown tremendously. Throughout the years, I learned to relate with the general population as well as with the Spanish-speaking people. And the group that we have now is, for the time being, ideal, but it's growing continuously. So we feel very comfortable with.
You're from Argentina,
yes.
Beautiful country. What do you miss most about that now that you've been here for 20 years? What are your fondest memories of that country?
That's an interesting question, and I was listening to that question being asked to the other people. And the thing is that the things that I'm missing today are perhaps not the same things that I was missing 20 years ago.
Is that right?
Because somehow you change your values and your priorities as well. But I still miss the people, and I still miss my friends. And one of the things that I do when I go visit is to be invited to different places to eat. And the food, as she mentioned too, is one of the things that we miss a lot too. Culturally, there are differences too, and that's another thing that we miss too.
Let's take a short break. When we come back, I'll wrap up the show, and Eduardo will play a little bit of music from his native country, Argentina.
All right.
Okay. Stay with us. We'll wrap up the show in just a moment. Welcome back to the show, concluding our interview today with Grupo Latino Americana, from all people from the Ozarks who have some sort of Latin American heritage or interest. And again, I'd like to thank all of you for being my guests today. Before we wrap up, you brought a few things that sort of are little artifacts from your country, a little example. Celia, you brought something that's very familiar to all of us if you've ever gone to Mexico or anyone. You usually get these for souvenirs.
These are the castanets.
Uh-huh. Do they actually originate in Spain? I mean, you see them when you go to Mexico down across the border in the little gift places, but actually are they from Spain?
Actually, they used to have something similar in the medieval in Europe. In Egypt too, they have something similar to this. I don't know exactly like this. But these are used in Spain, all over Spain. Some people use them here in this, the thumb. They play like this. I don't know how to really go by that, but usually, especially the gypsies, use them here, in the middle finger, and then just kind of play.
Now, are they widely used? Oh, neat, yeah.
That's the way they sound.
You have to kind of practice with that. But they are widely used today?
Oh, yes.
I mean, they're not something that's, that maybe we just see in the tourist places, you know, but they're actually something that are widely used.
They are used all over Spain.
Okay.
Yes.
And Susana, you also brought, I guess this is a collection of some of the different gods. Now, this is from Colombia, from your native country?
These are Colombian gods. Mostly from the Chibcha tribe that is in the middle of Colombia, and the central part of Colombia. Each one of these is a different, has a different meaning. For instance, this one is the goddess of fertility. The others, I'm not sure. There is one for war, one for love and fire, but I'm not sure which one of these is the one that
represents the different gods. What, again, what's the group for? I mean, what's it set up for, the Grupo Latino Americana? Who would be interested in possibly attending some of your meetings?
We have different activities to promote our language and our heritage. Sometimes we meet every month. We have a social hour. With the object is probably for a friendship. It was the first idea of the group. But as the group grows, we see the need for other activities and other assistance that we can provide for Hispanic students, probably scholarship, or teaching English to the new people that are coming here and need to learn more English. Some people have been here for many years and still need help with their English.
Do you ask that they pay some kind of dues to kind of help keep the group going, or how is that set up?
So far, we have had a membership due of $3 a year, just mainly to cover expenses for postage and paperwork. But now, we just became a non-profit organization, and we are starting to organize a new board of directors, one executive director, and different committees to be responsible of different projects. We see the need to introduce other activities and other projects, such as education, maybe Spanish for the children of these families, or English for the adults, scholarship for our college students.
So you hope to see lots more growth and development in terms of promoting the Hispanic and Latin American people in this area.
Right, and for all these projects we're going to start seeking funds in order to organize ourselves much better and be able to provide more assistance and more activities.
Any upcoming events that maybe people could just attend to get to know the group?
Oh yes, we have next Sunday. We have on August 13. We have a Spanish Mass and a social hour, and we're going to explain some of the projects that we're going to have. And on August the 20th, we have a picnic at the Springfield Lake at 3 o'clock. You're all welcome. And on September 23rd, we have an annual dance. We'll have a band from Kansas City. The members are from Puerto Rico, and they're going to bring us the music of all our Latin American countries. Okay. It seems it's going to be a very, very good dance.
Well, thank you for telling us more about the group and a little bit more about your countries as well. Let's end the program with Eduardo performing a piece from your country, Argentina. Tell us a little bit about the song before we wrap up.
That's right. This is just a song representative of the Argentine tango. Tango is one of the very popular type of music in Argentina, and it has lots of similarities to the blues.
Okay.
This song talks about the sorrow of a person who lost his heart, not in San Francisco, but to a previous love.
Okay. Maybe Buenos Aires.
That's right. And he feels now not capable of loving with the same intensity.
Uno busca lleno de esperanza el camino que los sueños prometieron a sus ansias. Sabe que la lucha es cruel y es mucha, pero lucha y se desangra por la fe que lo empecina. Uno va arrastrándose entre espinas en su afán de dar su amor. Sufre y se destroza hasta entender que uno se ha quedado sin corazón, precio de castigo que uno entrega por un beso que no llega o un amor que lo engañó, vacío ya de amar y de llorar, tanta traición. Si yo tuviera el corazón